Hello everyone and welcome as we continue to the chase for the fluffiest of cups. I am Paliku'i, joined by Kady, Timberfox here as we continue the Simufur iRacing GT3 Championship. Here at round 3 at Motorsport Arena Oschersleben, we are going to continue the chase here for the championship, and you know, right now, Kady, it looks like it's heating up to be quite a battle.
Yeah, we're really, it's just a few points between our top runners in the championship here so far. We can, I'm sure, maybe take a look at our championship table a little bit later on as we take a look at our drivers circulating here around unfamiliar territory for quite a few of them, I would imagine. This isn't a track that features particularly heavily in any of the usual sims that we run, which is part of the reason why a lot of our drivers have been so excited about driving on iRacing. We get the opportunity to go to some really fantastic tracks, like Road Atlanta last week was just incredible. Go watch that race if you haven't seen it. It was just one of the just most exciting races I've ever seen. And like coming into this round, this is another circuit that a lot of our drivers might not have a whole lot of experience in this, especially considering that these cars are about the fastest cars that you can run on this circuit. It's a bit cramped around here. So usually in iRacing, this track gets run by a lot of our slower car series. So, you know, Production Car Challenge with MX-5s and Toyota GR86s and touring cars, and not so much for the more powerful GT3 machinery. So it's going to be a real test of our drivers' skill on just, you know, smoothing out their inputs as much as they can, carrying as much speed as they can through the technical sections, and just doing what they can to get the best time around this this shorter circuit.
Yeah, no, and definitely here it's going to be a matter of making sure that you can keep it as clean as possible. There's not a lot of room to make mistakes here at this circuit today, and there's not a lot of room to navigate, so the passing opportunities are probably going to be few and far between. But speaking of which, as you were saying about the championship earlier, we can actually take a look at our standings right now for the championship. And right now, drop points are not in effect with these standings, so keep that in mind. However, after this race, once they are tabulated, drop rounds will be in effect. So, I mean, right now we see, you know, Wackman with a decent lead in the championship standings with 47 points right now, with Giondo right behind with 38, and then RK right behind with 35. The race there is super close. Now, I'm also going to point out for the top 5, Inigo Lopez with a decent start with 28 points, but Plasma Raider right there with 26. Now, that is after one race. Plasma was not able to make the first race of the series, so that's only from round 2. As it stands right now, Wackman and Plasma are extremely close if you include a drop round, but you know, we shall see after this race. Will Plasma be able to walk away with it, or will Wackman be able to take some more points away today? And that's going to be the question at the end of this race today.
Yeah, for sure. We're definitely expecting to see a couple people jump up the table here. Plasma is once again one of our favorites for pole and for the race win today. Although that gap is really not as narrow as it perhaps was at Road Atlanta, where I imagine Plasma got plenty of practice around that particular circuit. If we're looking at our times in practice at the moment, Plasma is holding down the top spot on our leaderboard with a 123.8, just almost a 123.9. But Zizor's there, not far behind at all. In the number 286 BMW, there is pulling a 24.2 at the moment, which is about 4/10 off of where Plasma is right now. So we may get into a situation where we have a more competitive fight at the front, but of course we'll see how things shake out during our qualifying. And as I'm saying that, Klaus there in that cow Lamborghini has put up a 24 flat, which for most of this session has been as fast as Plasma's been able to go. So I'm almost wondering if the race pace is going to be a little bit closer between these cars than perhaps it has been in in our previous rounds, and that should make hopefully for some exciting fighting for our podium positions. It's really tight there at the top of our table.
Yes, no, and given the length of this track, I'm not exactly surprised that this is about a 2.25 mile track, about 3.5 kilometers, a little bit more than that. So it's rather short for a road circuit here. And you couple that with, as you can see, there's the track is really narrow throughout most of this course. And as again, overtakes are going to be few and far between, but it's going to be exciting seeing the battles. Of course, as we can take here, we got a couple of new guys running around the circuit with us too. Mohammed down here with a nice 124.7 in practice, you know, on the top 5 so far, ahead of RK and Fezbox. A couple more that have been competing in this championship for the first couple of rounds. So it's going to be interesting to see. A couple of new people, as well to note, is Tombstone, right now currently P13 down there in the standings for practice. And I believe we have Jason Brown as well. Yes, down there at the bottom of the order, but also running out there, you know, with the drivers. And of course, the beautiful thing about Simufur, we love drivers of all skill levels, all coming together and racing together. We have battles from the front, the back. I mean, it's a great time. So no matter where you are, you're always going to have some fun here. And these drivers hopefully going to show it today. But as soon as practice ends here in about a couple of minutes time, I believe there is 2 minutes left in the session, we're going to start qualifying. And given that it's open qualifying at this short of a course, it's going to be a challenge. We'll see if anybody can get the clear traffic here. Kady, what do you think about the strategy here coming into quali now that, you know, it's an open session for us?
Well, it's going to be busy, like you said. I mean, we've got 24 cars in our session today on our grid. So if everybody's going to be, you know, jumping out of the pits like they usually do, trying to sort of lead the front of that pack and get that clear air so that they can get their times in, which is going to be critically important here, especially through these technical sections. If you get stuck behind a car that is not able to sort of carry the speed as much as you are through those sections, or a car that's on an out lap or an in lap, that's going to pretty well ruin your time. And the shorter lap does mean that you do have a couple more opportunities. You can fill for, you know, maybe 3 or 4 laps stint, and you know, go around basically as much as you can unimpeded and just see what kind of times you can end up with. But it's going to be tough to find clear air. If I was one of these drivers here, I would be paying close attention to my track map as Kamil Jaracek in the McLaren teleports back to the pits. If I was, you know, kind of getting into this qualifying session here, I would take a close look at my track map, and I would wait for sort of a lull, or just a moment when a lot of cars are sort of teleporting back to the pits at the same time, changing their setup, changing their fuel, doing whatever they need to do to get ready for their next run. And I would just take that moment to get in and to just, you know, get that clear air, especially if I was one of those front runners. If I thought that I could get close to the best time in this session, I would definitely want to just prioritize that clear air as much as I could, and maybe not worry so much about you know, the track evolution, getting the last lap in, which is usually what qualifying strategy looks like as we head into it.
Yeah, as we roll into now qualifying, everyone is going to start out, and as we can see, we are riding along. I believe this is Plasma. Also, we just a note, I was informed that Mohammed is Taichi, so we've actually made that correction live. Taishi, as he'll be referred to from now on, will be racing with us here, part of Tig Gang Racing. So thank you for our commentators for pointing that out for me, so we can make sure that everyone is represented right.
Great to see you, Taichi. This is just, you know, I feel like at least for this series, it's been kind of awesome to see just the enthusiasm that everybody has had for this series. We've had our fair share of returning drivers, and, you know, a lot of people have participated in all of our rounds. But it seems like for those that, you know, can't make it for all of our rounds, we always seem to have new people shuffling in and filling up the grid and putting up some, like, really competitive times, as we saw there with drivers like Tombstone it's fantastic to see, really, that so many people are so enthusiastic about this track.
Yeah, no, it's going to be close racing all around, as we're going to actually ride on board with Plasma here again at the start of the lap as we take you through a lap here at Oschersleben. So he's going to come through Zeppelin curve here, hitting that curbing on the outside. You want to make sure you get a nice run through the straight. It's a little bit of short before you head into Hotel here. Now, we are using the MotoGP configuration of the circuit by default because iRacing uses that instead of the left-hand turn there. So he's going to come through Hotel, wants to clip the outside, get it nice and slow, coming through that apex, going wide out to the left as he then heads into the hairpin right here. Now, it's a little bit banked, so you can take in a little bit of speed, but you want to scrub that off as you try and hang it nice and tight, coming out into the next straight there, heading into triple. Now, triple is a tricky one. You want to make sure you just bleed off a little bit of speed coming out there, hit that apex on the second and third curbing there, and then whale it into that nice sweeping right-hand corner. Now it tightens a little bit at the end, so you got to make sure you scrub off enough speed. Then you want to straighten this out right before you get to McDonald's. 1, 2, 3, right through the chicane there and going into McDonald's as you carry as much speed as you can. This is probably going to be one of the few passing opportunities you're going to have, so making sure you get the speed here is critical as you come into Shell Curve, the sweeping right into Amman Curve, a sweeping left, straight on into Bauer Curve, which is next, another sweeping right-hander, flowing really nicely, making sure you don't go too wide here to get the off track, and then you head into Zeppelin Curve, and that completes a lap here at Oschersleben.
Like shades of Silverstone on some of these corners, shades of Istanbul Park in Turkey with that triple apex complex there. This is just a lot of fun, honestly, and I really appreciate that we get to fit tracks like this into our calendar when we're driving on iRacing, because there's some truly unique circuits on here that are just like, even if it might be tough to overtake around here, still gonna be really fun just to take those hot laps. Just like mentioning again that hard 90-degree left-hander that would have been turn 1 if we were not using the motorcycle layout, despite the fact that we are on 4 wheels and not 2 around here. This track is it's a staple of like DTM and touring car racing in real life. And that turn in particular, that hard 90-degree that we're not taking today, is absolutely infamous for creating lap 1 pileups over the years. And former British Touring Car Championship driver and commentator John Cleland described that turn as, quote, "The guy who designed this first corner should be taken into a dark room and beat about the head." We'll see what our drivers think, but thankfully they won't have to contend with that corner. We're going for that gentler one, which should create safer racing conditions for these cars and for the motorcycles that they were designed for. But overall, it's just our drivers are going to have to really get crafty and get creative today, I think, if they want to make any moves up the order. And this qualifying session is going to be so critical as we get our first 23-minute time of the session. That's a 23.9 from Plasma. It's 4/10 clear of Zizors, who just put in a 24.4 there. So our podium so far looking about the way we expected to, but those times are very close, and we could see some shuffling towards the end of this session here.
One of the keys to the circuit, I believe, is going to be the lead up into McDonald's. That chicane that goes in there is so critical to hit at speed, especially once we get into the race. And the reason being is if you scrub off any speed there, it's going to allow the person behind you to make possibly get a run going into that long straight up until Shell Curve. And I mean, it's going to be difficult to complete the pass, but it's going to be probably one of the very few opportunities you're going to have, which makes this qualifying session all the more critical. As we see Klaus come in with a 1:24.012 for provisional second place here, as we can see, Plasma, of course, up in front with a 1:23.9. Now, just to point out, with the level of drivers that we have today, at the moment, between first and seventh place is separated by 1 second. And if you look behind that, from 8th, I believe, all the way down to about 14th is also another second and a half. So, I mean, there's going to be close racing all around today, and that's kind of conducive when you have a short and narrow track like this one.
Yeah, definitely. It shoves the times together just because simply there's not enough corners to go faster through to really make that much of a difference when these drivers are pushing as hard as they can, just pushing those track limits, which we'll see if those become a problem today. They certainly could be, considering some of the runoff in some of these areas. We've got a good amount of gravel in certain places, like here on this exit, which should help keep our drivers honest. But definitely there is, in those more technical sections, if somebody gets the braking wrong, could end up costing them a slowdown or an off track. So we'll keep an eye on that. And I think today, just aside from the qualifying, which is probably going to be just the most important thing, as Plasma goes faster again with the 23.8, it's going to be really on a short track like this, where the overtaking is maybe going to be a little bit less prevalent. It's going to be so important for our drivers to just nail their pit stop. And especially true here, because the pit lane here at Oschersleben is a little bit weird. I don't know if you've seen it in any of our shots here, but you kind of enter it off the exit of the penultimate corner, and then you kind of go through this little complex of lefts and rights that sort of like bleeds off your speed and leads towards the actual pit entry. So our drivers probably will want to have practiced that quite a bit, because on that, as much time as they can save or not lose is probably more apt, on that entry and the exit as well, is going to be really critical if they want to try to see if they can undercut anyone.
Yeah. Also, on a technical note here, given the pitch strategy, there is technically no required stops. However, how we have the cars fueled, I believe at 65%, they will be required to pit in for fuel at some point, as we see, RK going really wide there out of, I believe that was bar or curve. But that's just the track limits. You want to push as much as you can. And one of the things, too, that isn't mentioned much and isn't much of a factor, but could be, is that curbing on turn 1 leading into Hotel. If you cut it in too tight there, you might end up getting your car airborne, and you might end up into the wall on the other side out of Hotel. And so there's a lot of things on this track that keeps drivers honest, making sure they don't, let's say, push the limits too much, because here the consequences of doing so will probably be race ending. If not, you'll lose a couple of positions. At worst, you'll probably end up into the wall.
And I believe the complex here that RK is coming up on as well, definitely some opportunities to maybe break your suspension on one of those big sausages out there as well. So definitely, if you're familiar with tracks like Imola that really use that sausage curving a lot, you're gonna want to note that you're gonna try to avoid those as much as you can. I would say probably our drivers in the front-engined machinery, maybe the ones that are a bit more stable over those curves. So Plasma would be one, Zizor's in the BMW would be another, and any one of our two drivers that's in the Ford Mustang today. Those, I imagine, would probably be able to perform a little bit better clattering over those curves. They might be able to cut it a little bit more than their more sensitive mid-engine counterparts in the likes of the Lamborghini and the Ferrari and the McLaren. So that could be an interesting thing to keep our eye on as we get into our racing here and into our qualifying, as our drivers are trying to push the track as much as they can. They're also trying to see how much they can push, and you can see Camille there just very careful on those sausages, because again, being in that mid-engine car probably upset it quite a bit more than Zizor's here.
I do want to point out something as we're going to ride on board with Zizor's here. The exit of the pits is also going to be critical to nail, because it leads into what is a direct right-hand 90-degree corner that then leads you and bleeds you out into the track. So, I mean, the pit entry and exit here are probably, other than the lack of passing opportunities, going to be the only place you could probably gain a lot of time. But that's a calculated risk you have to take. And I keep coming back to this. I take a look at this track over and over, and all I can hear is risk, risk, risk. How much are these drivers are going to put it on the line to get their cars in a position where they could improve themselves on this race? And so, you know, as we can see, I mean, critically, Plasma with the 123.8 here is putting himself in a great position to not have to worry about that, which is what you want in this situation. Any position here is going to be basically, as you said, so critical to gain at this point, as we are reaching about 8 minutes left in qualifying here. And wherever you start is most likely going to be where you're going to end up, at least through turns 1 and 2, unless something catastrophic happens. I mean, it is turn 1 after all, but it's not like the regular circuit, so we're hoping that it's going to be a nice, easy start. Time will tell, though.
Yeah, they're definitely going to have to work for their meal on the first lap here if they want to make up any positions, because again, you know, if you're on the inside into turn 1 there, which you're going to want to be, given the generally fairly high speed nature of that, I would say probably like a mid-speed corner, but still you're going to be wanting to be on the inside for you know, setting up that overtake into turn 1, but you're gonna have to get the move done basically right then and there, because right after that is that long right-hander of Hotel Corner. So the outside of turn 1 is going to kind of become the inside of turn 2, and it could give the defending car a really good opportunity to fight back. So there's going to have to be, you're going to have to get either a fantastic exit off of the last corner to be far ahead enough that it's not going to matter, or you're just going to have to be really late on the brakes, which we'll see how our drivers are and how they handle themselves going into there, especially you know, considering that that pit exit there, like we said, it kind of feeds you almost directly onto the racing line, which I wouldn't be surprised, but I hope that we don't see any collisions on pit exit today.
Yeah, that's going to be something that the drivers are going to have to be aware of. And the issue with that, too, is that it leads you out to the racing line as you look through Hotel. It sweeps out, because that's where you want to place your car, because you want the latest apex you can to straighten it out into the next hairpin. Now, it's not entirely critical for the time of the lap, but, you know, if someone's coming out of the pits at the same time as a group of cars is coming through, especially if someone, let's say, is too wide going around the Hotel, that could lead to some interesting and hopefully exciting moments. But we're going to take a look at Snowy here. I mean, Snowy, it looks like he's backing out of the lap here, as we're going to go ahead and now follow Taichi that just passed him. So, you know, going back to that pit exit and the pit entry, we haven't seen the pit entry yet. I'm not sure we're going to by the end of qualifying, as we're reaching around 5 minutes left. But starting to sweep out through that last corner, do you think drivers are really going to want to push it there? I mean, it's super narrow. Only one car fits in through there.
I mean, the line is later, so you know you can technically go as fast as you want through that particular section of the pit entry, right up until you get to the line that actually marks the formal entry and where the pit speed limit starts. Kind of similar situation on the exit as well. You turn off the pit limiter, and then you sort of have that sequence of corners there where you know you can try to carry speed through there. I certainly would hope that we wouldn't see somebody trying to actually overtake a car either on the entry or the exit here. Depending on how awkward things get, when people decide to cycle their pit stops, it might affect when they decide to come in. That's a big spin from there, from Klaus there out of Hotel Corner. It's just a matter of maybe being just a tad too impatient on the throttle there. I'm sure for our drivers it feels like an eternity and a half that you're kind of feathering the throttle there, trying to get set up for the exit. But it's so hard for me to imagine anybody thinking that that's a good idea, trying to overtake on the pit entry there, because it's just so narrow. There's just grass on the outside that you're going to have no traction if you try to, really cut it, and you're probably going to, hit yourself with a slowdown. So, if our drivers are smart, maybe they'll lose, a second and a half if they're really, stuck behind somebody who's being really cautious on that entry.
Ooh.
But as that Plasma there with the biggest hit we've seen today, and that is probably, we could clip that and just feature that on our YouTube page as an example of why you do not drive over sausage curbs.
That was a massive send there. I think we're going to actually take a look back at that. Let's take a look at what happened there, because wow, that was... I want to see that again, too. Let's take a look on board from Plasma. So here he is coming down the street into turn 1. He nails that sausage curb, like, over it. Basically gets the car, leaps it. Oh, and I think that was Oily Rags he ran into out through there. And, ooh, let's hope we don't see that during the race.
And the scary thing about that, too, is that's not that far off from the racing line that you're supposed to take through that corner. It's, maybe, I don't know, a foot or something, just a little bit too far inside. Your wheels just clip the edges of those sausages, and it's still going to bounce you up. They do not care.
Yeah, and at the closing stages here, we have about 2 minutes and 20 seconds to go of qualifying. As we can see, Klaus is actually the only other driver right now that has managed to get a 23 on the board with a 123.939. Very close to Plasma, just about a 10th off this time, and Klaus is trying their best to make sure they can improve their time just a little bit, trying to snatch pole away from Plasma. I mean, as we saw, Plasma was most likely pushing it, just trying his darndest to get the most out of the car, and Klaus is trying to do the same. It's so far nice and set up as he takes that Lamborghini through the hairpin there, heading up to triple. We'll see if Klaus can actually manage to gain anything on the time, but I'm not seeing anything so far. We're not green in Sector 1 as he's heading to the end of it. He's starting Sector 2 now. We shall see if he can actually make any notable improvement here.
But Klaus is flying. I mean, we've seen Klaus at the, towards the top of the table. We've seen Klaus fight for podium positions before. I don't think we've ever seen this kind of pace from them, at least in these first couple of rounds. This is a really impressive showing here in qualifying, and it's a rare day that somebody is actually able to get this close to Plasma's times. Plasma, a professional esports driver for the Apex Racing Academy, so plays this game for money. And as we see Klaus bailing out of that lap and heading into the pit entry, that will be the end of Klaus's bid for pole. I imagine the sectors weren't looking too good, but it's incredible that Klaus was even able to get that close, and I'm almost intrigued to see what happens on our lap 1 here, whether Klaus is going to really try to get ahead on lap 1, because if that were the case, even with this pace, if they were able to keep that up for the race, they, with some good defending, they might be able to keep Plasma behind them, considering the lack of overtaking opportunities on this track.
And as we take a look at Walkman here coming to the end of the lap, I just want to point out right now the top 4 are separated by 0.3 of a second. That's how close it is right now. And I mean, Klaus being in second place is going to have, I think, the outside coming in. As we see the checkered flag fly, that's going to be Walkman's last lap there, unable to improve. As we're going to take a look at Caesar's here, and he goes really wide. That lap has been invalidated immediately and darts into the pits. Then we're going to go back at Plasma. Oh, you could see there coming into the wall. But going back to Plasma, Plasma's on one last flying lap. I believe he's going to be able to complete this one if he can make any sort of improvement at all. As I think the only other drivers on track right now, Fezfox, Oily Rags, Hakio Itsumetsa, and Mali, all of them are trying to improve their times. But Plasma right here, I mean, he's secured pole position as Oily Rags improves their time up to 13th place with a 125.27. I think it's pretty safe here. Plasma's just looking to see if he can just push it a little bit more and get that down to a 123.7. I think that's what he's trying to do here. But I think he secured a pole as he's going to come across the line here, coming through Zeppelin curve on that exit there, just managing nicking the gravel just a little bit, and crosses the line with a, looks like a 123.804, barely improving by 1/100th of a second, but that's an improvement, and that guarantees him pole position today. I mean, you know, are we really surprised given Plasma?
I'm not. No, I am surprised how close this is at the top of the table here. And again, you know, if you know, one undercut, one mistake on the pit stop from Plasma, you know, Plasma's a smart driver, you know, but we've definitely seen him make some mistakes before in the past. So could still be an opportunity for an upset here from Class, especially if they're able to get around into turn one, depending on how they line up in double file here. It might be, as Plasma taking their victory lap here, it might be advantage Klaus coming into turn one, depending on where exactly they line up, and we'll see here on the formation lap.
Well, we were just given a request, and unfortunately I was unable to oblige in time, but we are going to get started here for the race as everyone lines up. Let's take a look now at our grid here for the start of today's race at Oschersleben. So, of course, we have Plasma here on the top, pole position with that wonderful time of 123.8. Then followed by Klaus Sturman as rounding out your top two there. And then the next row, Zizors, followed by Wachman in fourth, rounding out your top two rows there. And then, of course, rounding out your top five, Taichi with a decent, impressive time, only half a second above Plasma. So they're going to be making sure that they stick to it and make sure that they can actually stay into the top five for that race. Now, we have Tombstone on sixth place, followed by RK in seventh in their TGR Ferrari, followed by Fez Fox representing Simufur in eighth. Then Indigo Lopez in ninth, representing Bluey Shark iRacing in their Corvette, as Vex lines up alongside the teammates down there in the fifth row. And of course, Newbie in 11th place, followed by Then as we look further down the grid here, stand by. Hello?
I can hear you.
There we go. Apologies for that. My my timing screen suddenly decided to stop working there for a second. So let's go ahead and continue on. Hopefully we can actually look at the rest of the grid. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't appear that it is responding to me, so I can just read off the names as we continue down. I believe it was Newbie in 11th, followed by Peschetti in 12th. Then Camille in 13th, I believe. I'm going to try and see if I can bring that up for you because, unfortunately, the overlay doesn't want to work for me. Yep. So, after Peschetti in 13th, he's got Camo Jursic, followed by Oily Rags in 14th, and Snowy rounding out that row in 15th. Hakio Itsumetsa right now in 16th, followed by Mali in 17th. Rekoware in 18th, then Czar rounding out 19th, and then in top 20 position right there, Jason Brown in their Ferrari is going to be the top 20. Then followed by Wolf and Foxdale and Freya D, and Quincy in 23rd, followed by Zim, who rounds out your grid today. Apologies for the grid not functioning as it should, but we're going to get ready to start here as they're coming down. I believe that is the start of, let's see, is that shell curve or almond curve there? Or is that through the triples? I think that's through the triples.
Yes, they're rounding out the triples now, and it does look like Plasma is going to get the inside of turn one for the first lap here. It's pretty pretty easily where you would want to be set up there. But depending on what kind of a run Klaus can get there, through that first corner, if they can keep it alongside for that right-hander, they kind of would be able to turn that disadvantage of the outside into the advantage, coming through that slower corner there, and just might be able to slow down Plasma enough to make a dive for it. But we'll see what Klaus's mentality ends up being, whether they want to do that or if they just want to focus on keeping the position, keeping P3 and P4 behind there, because they're probably going to be scrapping down in the lower parts of the table as well, as we come through Amman Curve now, and we are just a few moments away from the green light.
Yep, and here they come down now. This is going to be through. Now they're at Bauer Curve, leading the Zeppelin Curve. Now, of course, the leader here, Plasma, gets to dictate the start of this race. So there goes the Corvette, and there goes the Porsche safety car here as Plasma heads around Zeppelin, heading it nice and slow, heading in a straight line as he's riling everybody up, waiting for the green flag, and he has the start of it as there we go. Plasma has floored it here today, and he gets a nice lead and jump on Klaus. Klaus right behind, in danger from Walkman right there as they come into turn one. Here we go. Let's see if everyone can go through as we see Klaus and Walkman behind there, side by side going through, and Klaus loses another position behind there. We got a lot of side by sides behind us. I think we had a car go off there, and they're filing 2 by 2 coming through the line here. We look at the mid-pack here. It's Vex is right alongside behind with Paschetti, and I believe that's Indigo Lopez. A lot of racing coming in through there. As Fox, I believe, loses a place to Taichi there. They all line up coming through. That was a pretty clean turn one as they now head past into the triples, and wow, what a start. Looks like Klaus was the one that was unfortunately unable to capitalize there, but Plasma remaining at first, Walkman actually getting the position right in the front, as I believe we have Paschetti and Indigo still fighting it, going into McDonald's here. They're going to be coming close. Indigo thinks better of it, lets it go. Oh, hope that's not a slowdown there if they cut it too much, and then they run up right behind that straight going into Shell Curve. Wow, what a first lap.
What a first lap. And honestly, there are moments as a driver when you just need to tip your cap to the other driver, and I feel like that's kind of where Klaus is at this moment, because that move from Walkman was just a work of art there around the outside there. Just kind of saw the opportunity with Klaus kind of checking up a little bit, trying not to run into the back of Plasma there on the first lap, and just trying to file in and settle in. And Walkman was able to just sort of see the invitation there, see that space open up on the inside of turn one, and was just able to just power around the outside of Hotel there and keep the place. So a really great move for Walkman's race, and that's going to make their job quite a bit easier here heading into our next couple of laps, as our drivers will try to find some paces. Reikaware here, one of our new drivers here, she's pulling up to, as we see, a turned car on the outside there that looked like it was Taichi there on the exit of turn 3.
Yeah, no, we're going to take a look back at that. It looks like they might have clipped the curbing a little bit. Let's take a look at what exactly happened from his point of view. So here we go, Taichi. There we go. We're heading into the hairpin now there, and it just looks like maybe he just cooked it too much. Yeah, just cooked it too much. Maybe a little bit too much steering, maybe too early on the gas there, and unfortunately just had to wait for everyone to go by.
Too much steering and probably a little bit too much brake pressure, I would imagine, because you're holding the brakes all the way through that turn 3 there so you can brake as late as you can and get set up for the exit there. And so probably just holding a little bit too much pressure there, got the rears loose, and it's very, very easy to do around here, especially around such a highly technical track on what are probably slightly colder tires. We're taking a look at Snowy here in the 919 sort of factory livery Mustang GT3, pulling up pretty close behind Hakio Itametsu here in the Mercedes. So a couple of front engine cars, and it's going to be interesting for Snowy's race here. The track is quite busy around them, so they're going to have to just try to keep pulling up to the back of Hakio Izumetsu here, but also just being very, very careful, because Reikaware is right behind and and she would be ready to pounce on anything happening here. Rika, we're one of our new drivers for today. This is her debut in the iRacing GT3 series and in Simufur as well, if I'm not mistaken. And she's holding down a respectable P15 at the moment, showing some pretty decent pace here. You know, we'll see if she's able to make up any places here as the race goes on. Newbie here pulling up pretty close to the back of Jason Brown. Going to just try to follow through here. Just everybody staying in a line. Nobody wanting to, you know, shake out a move at this point in the race because, you know, anything goes wrong, then you know, that would be a lot of time lost for sure for all of these drivers. And you know, part of it probably as well is that there's not a whole lot of opportunities around here to overtake. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge for our drivers. And Newbie here takes a bit of a look into turn one. It was a pretty good run there and just backed right into the onto the rear fender of Jason Brown there, but was just a little bit too far back to really make that move stick. And again, you know, like we were saying during qualifying, in turn one there, you really don't want to try it too much. It's maybe flashing the lights there, pretty impatient to get around. But you really want to have a lot of overlap going into turn one there. Otherwise, you know, you're just going to end up losing time to each other as Newbie goes a little bit wide there on the exit of McDonald's corner. So it's going to be they're going to keep the order the same as they were, but that Porsche of Quincy behind is just getting, you know, pulling up ever so closely. So it's going to be interesting here as Newbie goes side by side, and that didn't look like much of a fight there from Jason Brown. We can take that back on replay, but it didn't look like Jason wanted to fight that too much. Kind of knew that the overlap was there, and as the Porsche behind also gets around, so that's going to be two places.
Something happened to Camel.
That's a spinning Camel on the exit of the final corner there.
Yeah, it looks like maybe the same thing that happened with, I believe that was Taichi earlier, maybe just on the exit of Zeppelin. Something happened. We can take a look back real quick at what exactly happened to Camel coming out of that corner. Let's go ahead and take a look. So here it is, Camel coming through bar curve here. Do that corner. And, sliding out on exit. Yeah, carried a little bit too much speed there. And just the rear end kicked out at the end. And there you go. Just like what happened with Taichi. Just got to wait for everyone to go by.
Thankfully, a pretty safe rejoin opportunity there. Kind of spun towards the inside, which was really helpful for getting back on track. So, you know, hopefully as this race goes on, we do have a bit of a cramped track here, not very wide. So, rejoining as safely as possible is going to be very important. As we take a look at Tombstone here, holding down P5, currently defending against Fez Fox in the McLaren there, just behind. Fez looking pretty racy here so far, has gained 2 positions from the start of this one, so looking to gobble up a third at the moment against that Lamborghini there. So we're going to see, it's not going to be close enough this time around, but if Fez can just settle in here and pull some good laps, and Robbie, I would have to imagine that that RK behind the 2 of these is just going to be wanting to sort of hold formation and just see how this battle is going to shake out, because in probably a lap or two's time here, it's going to be, you know, perhaps wheel to wheel between these 2, and RK is just going to be wanting to stay behind, not lose too much time, and see if they can capitalize off of this battle that's brewing here for 5th position.
Yeah, and as these drivers work out, I actually want to take a look at that major move that Walkman pulled up at the start of the race. Let's go back and take a look at it from Walkman's angle here. We're going to see from the start of the race, here's the position that Walkman was in. As you can see, this is the start where they're going to wait for Plasma to drop the hammer. And when Plasma puts it down, you can see Klaus just isn't able to match it, and Walkman just takes off right there, getting alongside him right there, going into turn 1. As you can see, just what a major move. Manages to hold it there and right behind Plasma, and just like that, you're in P2.
I almost wonder if Plasma was intentionally giving Walkman the toe there down the straight to try to sort of encourage them to fight there and give them a little bit of a gap. I wouldn't be surprised at all if that was the case, because I mean, you could just see from that onboard camera, it was like Walkman was reading Plasma's mind there almost on that start. They started at almost exactly the same time, and Klaus, I mean, still had a pretty decent start, but I mean, just for sheer reaction time alone, it was crazy how in sync Plasma and Walkman there were. So not much that Klaus could do. Like I said on the start there, sometimes you just got to tip your cap.
Well, as we can see here, Quincy, Newbie, and I believe that's Recoware going through the hairpin right now, getting a little feisty and racy. It looks like Newbie just wants these positions badly. Newbie is caught up in the backfield here and just trying his best to move forward, but not able to do their best to get through. I mean, you can see Newbie has the pace here. If you look up right ahead, and just Recoware is holding him off well so far, but you can only hold off Newbie so long as Newbie's flashing the lights, filling the mirrors of Recoware, coming really close to making contact. But see, this is what you got to be careful on. If you can't make the move, the car right behind is Quincy. He's going to take advantage. He's going to try and pass you then. As that's Snowy right ahead, going really slow. I'm not sure if he had just a decent off-track or not. Recoware having to take evasive action there, and now it's going to allow Newbie to send it here. It's going to back off just a little bit, maybe in danger, but now is side by side as Recco as they come into turn one. Newbie's going to try and keep that inside line, and Recoware goes really wide, opening the door for Newbie as Newbie takes the position, says thank you very much, and continues on. As you can see, Snowy in the back there also trying to defend, and it's just battle after battle here in the midfield, but thankfully they're lining up now, and Newbie up a position, now up, I believe, a net loss of 2 positions, so Newbie's just trying to make up lost time.
I am losing my mind. Like, we thought this was going to be a boring race. This is an incredible battling going on around here. And I mean, just the racecraft from the both of them for leaving each other the space there, but also, I mean, just in the end there, that sort of finishing move from Newbie at the end of that sequence there into turn 2. Didn't really have the overlap into turn 1 to really fight it, and was especially at a disadvantage because they were on the sort of outside of that corner, but they were just able to just stick their nose in a little bit into the braking zone there, just enough that Recoware thought that she had to sort of leave room there on the inside, and that was all the invitation that Newbie needed to sweep into the inside there and take the position out of the exit of turn 2. So just some amazing racing and just great, like a great mental battle out there on track right now.
And we're getting announcements here. I believe Camel has retired due to, I believe, a migraine. So Camel, all the best to you. Hope you can get better. And also Czar has retired due to, quote, being off pace. So, I mean, sad to see you go, but, we enjoy you guys here at Camel. Get better. Czar, we hope to see you next week. So, yeah, as we continue here, I mean, speaking of drivers that are trying to continue on and make up positions, I mean, Taichi here with that spin at the beginning of the race, now behind Quincy, a little frustrated, definitely has the pace to get by, but, it's getting by. That's the issue. And then going back earlier to when Newbie made that move, I think what started all of that was the mistake from Snowy up in front. I'm not sure if they skidded through that corner, but it forced Recoware to take evasive maneuvers on the outside of Zeppelin curve, and he just had to concede.
Yeah, and sometimes you're in that position as a driver where you just, you get to a certain point where, you're it's almost like, as you get involved more and more in just battling other drivers and just being scrappy, trying to fight for your position, you almost get too much in your own head where you start to think, well, I need to do everything I can to hold on to this position. But if you're kind of feeling as we hear Taichi feathering the throttle there through turn 2, just trying to find the traction. it's interesting how sometimes you can get tunnel vision when you're in a big multi-car battle like this, and it's important to sort of keep perspective on the rest of the race. Make sure that your pace isn't dropping off too much, that you're losing the group in front, and potentially deny yourself more positions than you would be making if you were fighting for them all the time. But I like Taichi's position here at the back of this train. Just kind of gets to watch everything unfold, gets to save some fuel behind these runners, and later on in the race when we start talking about pit cycles, this could be a really fantastic opportunity for Taichi to make up not just one but maybe multiple positions in the pits, if they can save enough fuel, and if they can get a nice quick pit stop. That would be that would get them in front of 1, 2, maybe 3 cars.
Oh, as he tries to dive in there. Oh, I think they made a little bit of contact, but manages just to save it at the last minute. That's Quincy and Taichi side by side going through. Snowy right behind. I mean, that was quite a send from their perspective as we take a look at them coming into turn 1 here into Hotel Curve. They're going to be side by side. Ooh, mashes the door. Quincy, they're too wide, mash into Snowy there. And a major incident going into Hotel affecting 3 cars. Quincy, Taichi, and Snowy all affected, all with major damage. That was not that good of a send going into turn 1.
They were battling so well before this too. It's like, it just takes one sort of misjudge on the brakes there, and I feel like right there, I feel like that was maybe a bit desperate from Taichi there. Just saw the opening and is now ahead of these cars at this point. But yeah, as they're going to go ahead and concede those couple of positions there. That's what I would do if I was in Taichi's position there. Just letting the stewards know, like, hey, I know that that maybe wasn't the most cautious of moves there, as we see Hakio Isametsu there going off track and giving up the position there to Newbie.
We're going to take a look back, though. I think I have it here for that incident, because that was quite an incident for position there. Let's see if this is the one. Yeah, this is the blimp view. You can see they're side by side here, and there's Snowy right up in front, and they come up into turn 1. Taichi goes bang doors, and I think a little bit of netcode, and he was holding the brakes, but there's just really nothing you can do at that point. You're in the gravel, and you're at the mercy of the the brakes at that point. You really don't have any control of your car once you're just slamming on the brakes going through the gravel. And yeah, that was just an unfortunate way to end that battle.
Yeah, it's tough, and yeah, I struggled to really see which driver out of that was more at fault for that. I mean, I'm sure the stewards will probably be taking a look at it, but it just kind of looked like the definition of a racing incident to me. Just like two cars trying to fit into the same place at the same time around a really cramped track here. Both really trying not to give up any of the positions that they've gained from the start of this race. And just sometimes that's what happens in hard battling. One of them trying to hang it around the outside, the other trying to sort of shut the door on the inside there, and just coming together. It's it's tough to see, but I don't. There's things that both of those drivers could have done to avoid that.
Yeah, and now we are hearing, I mean, the unfortunate bystander in that incident, Snowy, has retired from the race due to that incident. It's unfortunate, because Snowy was up ahead and was not a part of that battle, but, once another driver loses control behind, it's just, there's nothing you can do. So, I mean, bad luck, Snowy, but you'll get him next time. You were up there with decent pace, and yeah, we'll hopefully see you next week.
I'd love to. Yeah, that was a fantastic battle from all of them, and it would be a shame for us to lose anyone here over that. But I mean, it's tough to, as Snowy here is actually rejoined the track and is on the pit exit. So has actually rejoined in 22nd place here. So is going to continue because as we've said before throughout these races. Our drivers do have one fast repair available to them where they get to repair all of their damage instantaneously. So that's what Snowy did, and we'll see if they can catch back up to anyone and try to recover from that position. As Tombstone here still defending from Fez, and Fez getting very, very close at this point.
I think he has the move.
Should have some overlap here coming into turn 3. They're going to be side by side, but Tombstone is going to have the inside for this one, which is going to be decisive. Fez is going to try for a switch around here, and it looks like they might go side by side again, but Fez just has to feather out there and make sure that RK behind does not get an opportunity to overtake. That was about as far, I think, as Fez really wanted or could have pushed it without being in serious danger of losing 6th position from RK behind here. And the mental battles between these drivers, just trying to outfox each other, just keeps happening.
Okay, we're seeing Snowy back on track as well, so not a retirement from Snowy. I think Snowy got out of the car, took a deep breath, got back in the car, and got back in the race. So good to see you again, Snowy. But yeah, no, going back to the battle over here for 5th place, it's that whole decision about wanting to do the overtake. I think all Fez wanted to do was to get into the mirrors of Tombstone, which nearly worked. All Fez did up at the turn 1 was put that nose right in that mirror, let Tombstone know, hey, I'm here, and then got right back in line. But Tombstone went really wide out of turn 2 into the hotel, so that caused FezFox to get side by side. Unfortunately, with FezFox trying to switch back, Tombstone slowed down and parked it at that apex, which really is the right thing to do there if you're defending your position, and so Fez had nowhere to go. But thankfully, everyone here is still line astern going into the hairpin.
Yeah, hopefully this one doesn't end the same way as the one that we were looking at. Less cars involved, and hopefully some better heads on their shoulders. We'll see how this continues to evolve as we are heading into the 20-minute mark of our race here. As RK getting close again as we cut into our cockpit cam here, and you can just see how close they are here, and just following as close as they dare behind, and taking as much as that curve as they dare. And it's going to be interesting seeing what RK's mindset is here heading into the next couple of laps, because there could be another opportunity here from Fez as Fez goes a little bit wide through this section. That's going to give RK the run here, and they're going to get right up about there, and that is going to be a very late braking from RK. They're going to hold the outside. They're going to continue to hold the outside through the final corner here, and it's going to be side by side for them heading into turn 1. I think it might have been RK with a bit of a better launch there off of the final corner and has the inside for turn 1. Fez is going to give it up, and after battling for almost half the lap here as Tombstone goes a little bit off track there into turn 2, that might have been an opportunity for Tombstone to break away from these two, but unfortunately went off into the grass there, and they are right back line astern.
I actually think I know what Fez is trying. I think Fez gave the position because he wants RK to fight Tombstone, which exactly is what's happening. That's going to allow Fez to come straight in, trying to get on the outside, going side by side, and of course, RK is coming in. Fez squeezes there on the inside, just wants a little bit of that move in there, and manages to get alongside coming into McDonald's here, but then backs off again. Yeah, so FezFox is trying to play the long game here, I think. FezFox wants RK to fight Tombstone here. That way he might be able to get 2 positions in at once, but RK just needs to make sure that they keep that car in that right spot to prevent Fez from coming up and get the pass on Tombstone. That's mind games being played out here right now.
And the more we watch this battle, the more that the 2 bluey Corvettes behind, every time we cut to a different camera, it looks like they're a little bit closer behind. So the more that these guys fight, and they're probably going to keep fighting here as we head into towards the halfway point of our race here, it's just going to continue to keep both Vex and Suzuka there in the background of shot. It's going to give them an opportunity to catch back up here.
Yeah, but you can see how much they catch up. Tombstone is bleeding off so much speed going into the hotel, and that's where you could see the accordion effect happen. RK has to slow down, FezFox has to slow down, and they get really close, but they can't get by. You cannot pass at the hotel unless you're already alongside, and it's just so difficult to make a move, stick on the outside over there, as we've seen time again here. And so it's just a matter of trying to plan that run specifically into McDonald's. But as you can see here, the Tombstone coming around through the triples, heading into the chicane, going into McDonald's. I mean, Tombstone's just bleeding off so much time for these drivers if they want by, but they just can't find a way through.
I think while we were taking a look at this, something might have happened to Snowy as well, because Snowy is now 3 laps behind and is parked in the pits. So I think that is going to end up being a day over for Snowy, unfortunately. But we are taking a look here at the Tombstone train, which looks like it's going to get some more cars added to it. Meanwhile, we have this fight brewing here, 3-car battle for P10. This will be between Oily and Hakio Itametsu in the middle, and Newbie there in the Mustang, featuring heavily in our coverage today, is just pulled up behind Paschetti here. So it's going to be Oily actually into the pit lane here. Going to be, I think, the first of our pitted drivers, as well as critically FezFox there for that battle for P5. So Fez is going to be the first one to blink in that battle. So we're starting to see some drivers starting to come in. We're going to take a look at their lap times here. They should be able to do a lot better in clear air than they were involved in these battles. So if these drivers continue to battle here, it's just going to give them an opportunity to get that undercut done.
Yeah, and we can see FezFox now coming out. It looks like he's in major clean air there. That's probably going to help. I think FezFox wanted to do the undercut just to make sure that, Fez had the open track, but almost didn't have it. I think that was, is that? I believe that is Taichi. Yeah, Taichi, the lap traffic coming in there. Now, though, Fez with the clean air, I think about 8 seconds behind Wolfen, the next car in front. So now Fez has some clean air, clean track, so that they can gain that time, and that's going to be critical. If Tombstone continues to slow up RK, as we can see up here, then that's going to allow Fez to get by both of them.
And I mean, these drivers aren't that far apart on pace, I don't think. I don't think any of them has really shown a clear pace advantage over the other two. If anything, I think it might be, Fez who might have a very slight edge on both of these two cars up here. So that clear air is going to be absolutely critical.
I think we had an incident with Molly. I've seen that Molly has crashed. Let's take a look back and see what exactly happened there. Yeah, it looks like Molly's coming through. Maybe they went off track. Let's see. This is the hairpin going through here. I wonder if they just spun it around. Yeah, they did. Oh, that's unfortunate. And then looks like there's some cars coming through, but just lets them by. But things going on here, you just got to make sure you keep your car under control. And once that rear end kicks out, especially in these GT3 cars, it's hard to really keep it under control.
Yeah, that looked like overheated tires to me personally. Maybe a bit of a spin or a bit of a slide earlier, and especially with the way that the tires are modeled in iRacing, once they heat up, it's very, very hard to take the temperature back out of them, even if you are driving, very carefully. So it just makes the car that much more sensitive to all your inputs, that much more slidey, and it's very easy to sort of, for one instant, to sort of have a knock on where the more you slide, the more you slide, essentially. As we get back to this battle between Newbie and now Zeem, who I believe this might have been a pitted car, but I'm not.
Yeah, so Newbie has pitted already. Zeem has not. So Newbie, again, looking to work their way through traffic. Just not having the good luck today, but hopefully making quick work of Zeem as they come in through McDonald's here after the chicane. Coming through around as we take a look, and gets an amazing launch. Look at that, side by side with Zeem, and it just makes it look easy. Passed him completely before they even make it to shell curve.
Zeem knew that wasn't their battle today, absolutely. But I mean, you can see sort of the other side of that coin. We're talking about all the clear air that Fez has now to just push and get that good pace, while the two cars that were in front of them continue to run close to each other. The other side of that coin is, of course, if you pit and then on cold tires, you end up behind one of those cars that is sort of going slower than you. So it's, you can see how much time they already lost there to Pascal. So it's going to be probably a bit of an uphill battle here for Newbie as they continue to try to knock in those laps and see if they can make the strategy pay off.
Yeah, well, Fez will need to pick up the pace. The last lap, Tombstone did, I think, a 125.9, and FezFox did a 125.2. So Fez is picking it up just slightly, but may need to pick it up a little more if he wants that pass there. But I believe with how close they were, with just half a second, another lap at that pace would be enough for Fez to effectively pass them for an undercut in the pits. We see RK going really wide there, right out through the triples, but still managing to catch right back up to Tombstone.
Yeah, it's there hasn't been more than a second between these drivers, I think, basically since the start of the race, which is kind of incredible. They've been running so close for so long, and it's just it's really amazing to see. Just a quick check-in on our leader here, as Plasma hasn't really featured very heavily in our broadcast. It's actually not as large of a gap as I was expecting between P1 and P2 here as we head into our halfway point. Plasma is still putting in some very fast laps here. Most of the field doing high 24s or 25s, and Plasma in the lower ranges of that sort of 24-second lap time. But it really hasn't been. He's not running away with it as much as he was in by this point in Road Atlanta. So interesting to see. See what the gap looks like when we complete our pit stop cycles. And so far it is looking like another Sunday drive for Plasma, but we'll see what happens.
I just want to point out right now, RK has pitted now, and here is FezFox coming around the final corner. RK is just now exiting the pit, so it's going to be close, but I think FezFox might have it. There he is down the straight, or not. No, I think RK is going to be ahead. It depends on how RK can get through that corner leading up into it. Here comes Fez around the corner. Where is RK? There he is, and I think that's Wolfen just giving way, and I think it wasn't enough for FezFox. RK has managed to stay in front of Fez here and has managed to get them on pure pace, so that undercut strategy did not work out for him.
And that is probably, that's the story of that's probably the story of Fez's race here, is just going to have to continue to stare at the back of that Ferrari 296 here for the next little while, as it'll be interesting to see whether they start fighting at all, because now it's Tombstone with the clear air who's going to be able to just push without having to worry about defending or attacking, and is also going to be running on lower fuel since these drivers pitted first. They have cars loaded up with fuel.
I think RK really was lightening his load there. I'm looking at the pit times here, and it appears that FezFox had 18 seconds in the pits, whereas RK had only 15. That's a 3-second difference, and now FezFox is right behind RK. I wonder if RK is going to have to fuel save later on, or if that's going to be a factor later on in this race.
You have to imagine it would have easily been Fez in front if they had similar pit stop times. So I'm not sure what the sort of fuel situation is looking like for RK here. We in the commentary booth don't really have any telemetry on exactly how much fuel is in these cars, but it's going to be interesting to see if RK can make it to the end without having to do some lifting and coasting.
Yeah, and it's also worth noting that it could have been as well, Fez might have taken front tires. Not exactly sure, because you can take tires and fuel at the same time, but if you do take 4, that's going to take a lot longer than if you only take 2. And given that we're already past the halfway point of this race, they would only need to fill up possibly about half their tank. So, given how close they are right now, it's 2 different pitch strategies at play. I'm very interested to see during the closing stages of this race what it comes down to.
those tires might be huge for sure, because they get scrubbed a lot as we cut here to our battle for P15 here between Quincy and Freya, the two Porsches on our grid right now. And it looks like for now Quincy does have the position. You'll recall that Quincy was involved in that sort of four-way battle earlier, sort of for those P12, P13 positions. So the battle's still going on out there, but this time it's Quincy who has lost a little bit of time, gotten a bit of a gap to Hakio Isametsu in front. So we're going to have to see whether Quincy can now, with the clear air, can catch back up, or if it's just going to be a matter of defending from Freya and also Reguer there in the Mercedes, not far behind.
Well, I think Freya is just trying to extend the stint as long as they can. Freya has not pitted yet, so they're going to either take a look at pitting, which, speak of it, here it is, and Freya's coming into pits now.
That's going to do it, and that's a fairly cautious pit entry, it looks like. So this is going to be a fairly long pit stop, would be my guess. So here's RK now, still trooping along right in front of Fez, and it's actually opened up that gap a little bit from where it was at sort of the end of that pit stop cycle when they came together at pit exit there. So again, we're not 100% sure what the tire situation looks like for these cars, what the fuel situation looks like. But for now, it's looking like if RK is running low on fuel, it does look like it's working for them, because they are able to just, edge that out a little bit more. And you can see it in the lap times. They're running about 0.2 of a second faster than Fez. And if they can keep that up for the rest of this race, we've got about 25 minutes left. So the time and the opportunities are going to be starting to run out here in a little bit for Fez to get this position. And of course, we still have the open question of where Tombstone is going to end up in relation to these two when it comes time for them to pit, which they've left it quite a while here. It's still circulating up there in P5, so I have to imagine they're probably going to have to be coming in fairly soon, within the next couple of laps.
Yeah, and as we take a look here at our top 5, as a matter of fact, I believe it's our top 8. Everyone up there, the top 8, has not pitted yet. So Plasma, Walkman, Klaus, Zizors, Tombstone, Indigo Lopez, Vex, and Pescetti all have not pitted yet. So they all still need to pit. However, Plasma still with the net lead, and Walkman, I believe, also going to be net podium there along with Klaus. It's going to be interesting to see, because I don't have the exact splits, but where Indigo and Vex are going to end up in relation to Fezfox. That's going to be the one we're going to have to watch. So we actually take a look back here. Quincy now coming up to Hakio Isametsu. Looks like wanting to pass them as well, going through, I believe that is the hairpin after triple as they get alongside, and Pescetti just not Pescetti, excuse me, Hakio just opens the door to let Quincy through, and I think just Hakio's like, yeah, you're not in my race, you are way above pace, let me not fight you so I can keep my position here in the top 15.
Yeah, that didn't take a very long time at all. I think last time we checked in on Quincy, they were about 3 seconds back from this car. So a huge amount of progress made just in the last few minutes, and that's going to be a pretty strong P14 for Quincy, as we see Wolf and Foxtail actually on the pit exit now. So it might be close between these two. It might be a little bit far back for Quincy to really try to get up to them, as actually it looks like Wolfen is behind both of them, so a little bit less close on pit exit there than I was initially imagining it would be, as yeah, there's Wolf and Foxdale now, so it might have been a slow pit entry or pit exit, or something might have happened there. Something that I've definitely done more than once is overshoot your pit box and have to reverse back into it. So not sure kind of what the pit times looked like there.
Looks like his pit time was pretty high. His actual pits was around 21 seconds. We're looking at the average. It looks like the average around 17, 18 seconds. So they might have taken all their tires. So just try to make sure they're nice and safe and then they keep the position. But from that, they've given up top 15, so they're now in 16th place. I think one of the things we got to look at pointing out is going ahead and trying to
That's
see.
a car off there.
I think that is. Was that Recco?
That looked like Recco.
Oh, that looked like Recco. Yeah, Recco went completely off. Still slow there going in. That's McDonald's coming out. I wonder if they just clipped the curb wrong. Let's take a look back at what exactly happened there.
I didn't see any damage on this car, so I'm not sure if she actually hit the wall or not, but
hit the sausage curb.
Just too much curb there on that. That is so easy to do.
Ooh.
Shades of that is going to be some damage there. The front bumper thankfully magnetizing itself back on. That's a new technology from the Mercedes AMG team in that car to magnetize that front bumper.
Dynamic repair. Copyright Mercedes.
So I'm actually not 100% sure if that's going to be any performance impact on Reiko right now. It does look like that little bit of fender there might be bent on the left side of the car, but I'm not sure. That regardless was a big impact, and that's going to put Reiko 12 seconds behind Wolfen now, as we see Vex on pit exit here. One of our last drivers to pit. We have 7 more. All the top 7 have yet to pit. Everybody else has taken their cycle at this point.
And as you can see, I mean, now Vex are about 9 seconds behind Fez. So it looks like the undercut strategy worked overall, but it seems like RK had the best strategy in terms of getting that time reduced in the pit lane, because it's one of the fastest times. The only one faster than that was Wolfen's, I think, but with 13 seconds. But looking at the times here, Vex is going to have some Herculean effort to catch back up as we move along with Fez. Fez catching up with RK now as we're getting into 20 minutes left of the race. As we said, we weren't thinking it was going to be this soon, but Fez is caught back up to RK. RK was pulling a gap. I wonder if RK made a mistake, and now it's allowed Fezfox to end up right behind him.
I mean, they've been close enough on pace that I feel like if Fez just turned it on, this might just be on merit at this point. But both of these drivers, it's been difficult to find a flaw in anything that they've been doing today. Considering the amount of battling that they've been doing just throughout this entire race between each other, between themselves and Tombstone. It's been just back and forth for basically this entire race, and it's been hard to find where they've put a foot wrong here, but both of them just very, very close here. This battle, I imagine, is probably going to continue to.
You can look at the time delta on the bottom right-hand corner there. You can see the difference between Fox's and RK's time. I mean, Fox was almost a second away just a couple of laps ago, and now is on the bumper, challenging them, flashing their lights within about a quarter of a second away, getting even closer. I wonder if the tires are falling off sooner than RK expected here, as we can clearly see Fez has gotten some nice runs, especially around through the triples. Now this is going to be the place he's going to have to defend through McDonald's, going around into what looks like the back straight there. And as we comment that battle, Zezors and Walkman have now both entered the pits. A couple of the top 5 now finally starting to file in, waiting to the last minute. But as we come back here, Fezfox just challenging under RK's bumper here, making sure, maybe backing off a little bit, waiting to fight another day. But RK's pace might be falling off.
This is going to be very close on the pit lane here. I almost wonder if these two are keeping an eye on the drivers pitting in front of them and seeing where they're going to end up, as both Zezors and Pasquetti now are behind these two. So that's not going to affect their battle at the moment. They're just going to continue working their way back up to that podium position that they are virtually in right now, as their battle just keeps. They just keep going at each other here around this circuit, and you can see the line from. I wonder if RK will take this very wide line through the triples here again. You have to, that's going to be like fairly wide at the apex again. So I wonder if it is the tires, like you're saying, where if those fronts aren't biting the way that they have been for sort of the beginning of this race, and for Fez now. If Fez did take new front tires, that might be what's making the difference in that technical section, why Fez is able to pull up so quickly into that little complex there.
Yeah, well, we can take a look here at the lap times. I mean, I believe that is, give me just a moment. push that back. So we can take a look. I mean, it's you take a look. The times are pretty equivalent, but the last couple of laps looks like RK's just lost a lot of time. You see lap 27 there, lap 28. That was 6/10, but now has gained another 10th back onto that as we get into lap 30. As they're going to comparison, and so now RK just a bit faster, but their pace is pretty comparable to each other right now. As is that Tombstone right in front?
That's Tombstone, yep.
That is Tombstone. We are back to where we were at the beginning, ladies and gentlemen. All three of them now battling for the top 5 spot here at this race. Wow, and here they all are. Let's see if Tombstone looks like he's got a second on RK up in front, but let's see if they can actually keep that going. Wow, I didn't expect to see these three again, but here they are, and in the same spot as they were. Fez goes really wide going into the hairpin after the triples there. They're trying to get every inch of track he can, get every ounce of speed, but I think that caused him to slow down a lot. As you can see now, Fez is almost a second down, but RK has now made it within a second of Tombstone. Oh, they're going to catch up to each other again. I think we're going to see another nice little train moment from these three.
I mean, RK knows that this is their chance at this point, with Tombstone being on the colder tires at this point, still on the outlap, and has actually caught up more than a few tenths. He's caught up about half a second just through the latter part of this lap. So as long as RK can just keep it really tidy here, just get back into that slipstream range, which I think they've just about done it here. That's going to be critical for their race if they want a hope at securing that P5, but it's going to be a fight to the end, and Tombstone, as we've seen throughout all of this race, Tombstone is not going to give that position up easily.
I think RK also knew that Fez was a threat. As you can see, RK turned on the jets, but is it going to be enough? As we can see, another thing too, I think we're seeing Klaus has got ahead of Walkman on pit strategy here. Yeah, we take a look back. There is Klaus right there. Right now, overall P2, as Indigo still needs to pit, and Walkman's behind in P4. So Klaus managed to get that second place back from Walkman through the pits. As we see now, I believe Plasma is exited and Indigo has just moved into the pit, so now everyone has pitted in today's race as we have about 14 minutes to go here. But this is another battle that's going to brew. We're going to keep an eye on Klaus and Walkman. As we can see, there it is. Now you have your top three, Plasma, Klaus, and Walkman, here at Oschersleben on the closing stages of this race.
And Klaus had that was the second, actually now the third fastest pit stop of all of our front runners. So that was what allowed them to get around. That was a 38-second pit stop, so even faster than, for example, RK, who was able to, sort of extend their lead through that. As the last of our pitters, Suzuki here, comes back out, filters out on track, and that is going to be it. So now it's just a dash to the end with less than 15 minutes to go in this one. So at this point, our top three is looking fairly secure. Walkman probably has an opportunity here to catch back up and overtake Klaus potentially, especially if Klaus is lighter on fuel for any reason. But I almost feel like that undercut there was just, that was what really secured it for Klaus, because there was no way that with the racecraft that we've seen out of both of these drivers so far, it would have been extremely difficult for Klaus to be able to sort of fight back that position on track. So being able to sort of get it in the pits was just absolutely massive for Klaus there, and it's been a fantastic drive so far.
Yeah, it's for the top three, especially even with Walkman for that move there, even losing a position. I mean, Walkman is still overall up a position there in the top three. Started P4, but just being able to keep that car there and keep it alive all the way through. I mean, yeah, the pitch strategy was going to be one of the few ways you were going to get by on this track. And I mean, so far it's looking like it's going to go Klaus's way, but time will tell as we near the closing stages of this race here. So we're going to have to keep an eye on it as we look back now. Newbie looks like it's catching up to Peschetti, and I mean, Newbie has been here we've talked about Newbie all over this race. Newbie has just been the hard charger, trying to get back all the positions here, and now has actually gained a net position from the start of the race after he was P11, and looking to gain another position as now threatening Paschetti as they come in through into Hotel here. So we shall see. I mean, that Mustang Newbie has been planted, so he gets a little bit squirrely going to the entrance of the hotel, but is gaining a bunch of time as you can take a look here. I mean, it's going to be for 9th place, and it's going to be for championship points. So we hope Newbie can actually make it through. Well, we shall see. Just barely closing in Newbie. I think just about maybe half a tenth, 3/4 of a tenth a lap, but that's going to be enough. If Paschetti makes any major mistake, Newbie's going to be there to capitalize.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's really surprising to me actually that Newbie's only gained 1 net position over the course of this race, considering how much overtaking and being overtaken that we've seen. Sometimes you have races like that where you just have the most wild race of your life, and then you just end up where you started. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see where Newbie ends up here, whether Newbie is able to catch up to Paschetti, which is looking increasingly likely as that gap continues to come down, or if it's going to be Paschetti hanging on to it. Who Paschetti is in a championship fight of their own here, so you know it's going to be really crucial to get those points for both of these drivers. So a lot on the line for both of them.
I'm not sure what I'm seeing. I saw Wolfen retire, I believe. I'm not exactly sure why. It looks like he retired just a couple of minutes ago, pulled into the pits and just stopped. I don't think there was any incident, but I'm not seeing anything to suggest maybe he might have hit the wall or something. But you know, it's unfortunate to see you go, Wolfen, but we hope to see you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Our 6th retiree today, which we've had him for a variety of reasons. We had that big 3-car pile up there that claimed Snowy. So, you know, it's been more so just our drivers, just getting into those, little minor accidents there that just get amplified when you have, when you get, shunted off into the wall, or, if you get sort of, knocked into from the side by another car. So, I kind of imagined going into this round that we were going to have quite a few retirements, but, it's been sort of a trickle of incidents over the course rather than sort of one big pileup, which is, that's always very good to see.
Oh, I wonder if Newbie had a slowdown. He was up 6/10 and now down to 4/10 coming to the straight. It just picked up a ton of time there coming out of McDonald's. It just went from like 3/4 of a second out, but then gains a little bit back. It's an ebb and flow here going through the course. I think Newbie on the middle part of the course is a lot faster than Paschetti here, especially going through McDonald's. And now that Newbie is caught up, I mean, it went through, if you saw on the bottom of your screen, it was about half a second the last couple of laps, and now he's back up there. Was down a second, now is only half a second to Newbie, half a second to Paschetti, excuse me, and getting good slipstream and draft as Paschetti goes really wide there, opening the door to Newbie. Yeah, those 2 cars is wide. I wonder if Paschetti was just not looking or paying attention. Now they're side by side and into McDonald's. Newbie backs out, knows that Newbie can get the run here. This is all he needs. Just backs up maybe a little too much, unable to get anything going there. And that was Zizors in the thick of it. I wonder if something happened there to that other car. I wonder who that was. I wasn't exactly able. I think that was Jason Brown that went off, and I think it was just trying to let Paschetti by, but Paschetti ends up following him, and just like that, now Newbie is right behind Paschetti, and now Zizors is behind Newbie. A 3-way battle for 9th place as we have 8 minutes to go here.
Yeah, it was one of those 296s on the exit there, so I wonder if it might have been oily as well over there now in behind these 3 holding down P12, but there might have been, maybe some disagreement with the back marker there. I'm not entirely sure what happened, but ultimately didn't end up costing Hakio Izumetsu too much, as Newbie goes side by side here. There's going to shove him a little bit there, a little bit of contact there on the apex, a little bit of door banging. They're still going to be side by side, but it's going to be Newbie who's going to have the inside line and that lead there. They're going to continue to go side by side all the way through all 3 apexes of the triples, and it's going to be Newbie here who's going to try to hold on to the position. Was really fighting the car there on the corner entry, trying to brake as late as possible and just pull up alongside, and that's going to be a position for Newbies. That was some great work there.
Wow.
Capitalizing on that opportunity. Just
what a
door
move.
Opening a little bit, just a little bit from Paliku'i there, and Newbie just said, that's a gap, I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah, and exactly. I mean, luckily Paliku'i is cooperative. We see now Paliku'i under threat from Z-Source right behind as they come through Bauer Curve into Zeppelin. I mean, that Newbie right there, Newbie just stuck the nose in there and just managed to hang alongside, and that was enough for the pass. I think that's worth another look. Let's take a look at that pass, because that was quite the send. And we can take a look here. They're heading into the hairpin right now, and this is a decent angle. You can see, doesn't really think about it here, but then he goes wide, and Newbie's just like, yep, I'll slide right in, and manages to hang it in there. What a move from Newbie, and from that, manages to keep alongside. I mean, they were still side by side here, going into the triples, but Newbie managed to get on the throttle a little bit more, and has the inside line, and makes that pass work.
That's a lot of trust given from Paliku'i there, that, going through those triples and trying to hang it out wide there. You never really know what the car on the inside is going to do, or we've seen so many cars sort of through mostly no fault of their own, mostly through the tire degradation, just pushing wide through the triples there. So that was a lot of trust placed there in Newbie by Paliku'i to continue to hang it around there and to avoid a collision. So really great racing from the two of them, and a little bit of door banging there on the hairpin, but nothing particularly egregious, I would say. It's more so just a matter of two cars being in the same place at the same time, not wanting to give it up. So just good racing here as we cut back to Quincy, who is trying to take another position here, is already up 11 positions from where they started. So just a really great charge from the back from Quincy throughout this race, and is pulling right up to the back of Oily Rags here.
Yeah, and as we saw, we just missed it. I think Z-Source made a dive and managed to pass Paliku'i. We're going to actually take a look at that again, because that was, I believe, that was a nice pass on their part. Let's take a look at Z-Source's pass here. It was coming into Hotel. I think Z-Source just threw it in there. Oh no, it was Paliku'i hitting that curb on the inside, manages just to barely hang on, and Z-Source says, oh, thank you very much, I'll take it, and just keeps going.
That's been a pretty reoccurring theme of a lot of our overtakes here, is it's just drivers that are able to capitalize on these little tiny opportunities. As we see, the battle between Walkman and Klaus is heating up here as they've run into
Quincy
this
and Oily Rags.
Between Quincy and Oily. So yeah, so it's going to be a battle between the top two and between these backmarkers here.
Ooh.
And it looks like Quincy gets shoved out wide there as the Lamborghini and the Corvette kind of filter through there. Obviously, it's going to be the prerogative of these drivers to get out of the way and somewhat give up their own fight so that these two can get through as safely as possible. But if you're Klaus there, that's when you're leading by just a second or two, the last thing you want to see in front of you is a pair of back markers going tooth and nail at each other.
I mean, yeah, but you can see here, this is the battle for second place with about 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go. And it looks like Klaus has to go on the defensive, but I think that's going to, I think that is Oily Rags trying to let them both by as they go in. Walkman's going to stay inside, goes for the dive there into turn one, but Klaus is going to have the inside. Walkman slides the car just a little bit, barely touches grass. He's on the outside, has to hang it out there and leave it, and Klaus is going to live into second place and fight another day. But meanwhile, that's going to put Walkman behind Oily Rags. Oily Rags is going to let him by, but Oily Rags is also under threat from Quincy right behind, who's going to take right there alongside Oily Rags there is coming in through. That's going to be the triples, but Quincy's going to hang back. Oily Rags is going to give a little bit of space there, really respectful, and then everyone comes back into line and back into the battles they go. What a sequence of events. That almost ended in disaster, but everyone manages to keep it together and lives to fight a couple more laps as we reach the closing stage. It's about 1 minute and 30 seconds left in this race. We're going to get the white flag soon here, I think, but this is going to be heated battles here coming into the closing laps.
If you're Klaus there, that's what I would call using your back markers as a weapon almost. Is just, Klaus did everything that they needed to do there, heading into turn 1. Just, took that nice outside line, was able to carry as much speed as they could, and Walkman trying to, hang it around the outside there, and was able to initially, carry a little bit more speed, as it's going to be no luck for Walkman on this particular lap as the laps continue to tick down and these opportunities continue to dry up. That might have been the moment that Walkman looks back on this race and thinks that was my opportunity, but just cooked it a little bit too hard into the hotel corner there, and clipped that grass on the outside, like you said, and that slowed them down significantly to the point where not only did they have to give up their fight with Klaus, they also had to give track position back up to the back marker that they had already passed, and then needed to pass them again. So from Klaus's position there, that was just, there's a certain art to using the back markers to your advantage, as this one jumps out of the way very quickly here.
Yeah, but I think it slowed Klaus down. As you take a look at that, they're into 10th, and we're going to be going into the last lap here. Going to follow on, I believe. Yes, this is the last lap. There is the white flag, so they're going to come around one more time as we head back to Klaus and Walkman. They're really close coming in. I mean, we got multiple battles going on. We got a fight for second place as we see Walkman trying a major dive, but I think manages just to tap Klaus, and they're going to pull back. Klaus spins out there, but Walkman being a good sport, letting him by. I think that's going to do it for that battle. Oh, that was really close. Unfortunate that Walkman, it looked like, might have tapped the back as they come through, but they may actually just fight again as they come in through the straight here going into Hotel. Here they go into the last lap here. The tire's got to be cooked, though, as Klaus goes around there, hitting it through Hotel, going into the hairpin. We shall see as we look back. Quincy right in front tries a dive with Oily Rags right alongside, gets just a little bit by, and manages to make a pass. Meanwhile, up ahead, Zezors and Newbie, well, we're not displaying it here. I think Newbie manages to go through. There goes Zezors out around into the outfield there. Coming in, I think that's through Bauer Curve. No, that's Almond Curve and Bauer. As we're going to jump back, there they go there. Walkman and Klaus, my goodness, everything just heated up at the last lap. Coming through McDonald's, but I think Walkman passed through. As in the meantime, as this happening, Plasma is coming through the checkered flag of this race and wins it today in Oschersleben at a very dominant performance. But meanwhile, going back to Klaus here, they're coming close, but Walkman goes really wide there, going in through Shell and Almond Curve. Here is Bauer Curve. I think that was the mistake that Walkman made, could not get by, and Klaus is going to hang on to second place with a mega defense and some good sportsmanship. Good on the drivers here today as they put it on full display as they finish. There is your top 3 today here in Oschersleben. What battles for the last lap.
What a drive from Klaus today. That was just incredible battling as RK crosses the line, ends up behind Tombstone here, so our P4, P5, P6, and there's Fez. The gap opened up a little bit there towards the end between Fez and RK, but that was just everything going off there on the last lap. You had dives all over the place, and particularly in this top 2 here, good on Walkman for ceding the position back to Klaus and allowing them to sort of continue fighting there. Thankfully, they were far enough away from Tombstone that it didn't end up costing them any positions. As Tombstone, even with that incident still finished about 10 seconds behind them. So just a really incredible drive today from a lot of our drivers gaining a lot of positions here. Obviously, a lot of that has to do with our 6 retirements today. But it's going to be another Sunday drive here from Plasma, who by the time we get those drop rounds in, should be at the top or close to the top of our table here.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, there is your race there. Everyone has finished, and here are the results for today's race. I mean, Plasma, dominant performance, going to be taking 26 points home today for also leading in pole. Klaus coming in second with a fight of Walkman, a major fight. What an amazing drive from those drivers at the end. Klaus taking home 22 points and Walkman with 20. Then, of course, fourth we have Tombstone, followed by Robbie Kelly, rounding out your top 5, just manages to fight to the end. Then Fezfox in 6th, Indigo Lopez in 7th, followed by Vex in 8th, Newbie in 9th, and then Zzors rounding out your top 10 here at Oschersleben. And of course, Paschetti in 11th, Oily Rags in 12th, Quincy in 13th, Hakio Isametsa in 14th, followed by RecoWare rounding out your top 15 today here. We have Jason Brown in 16th, followed by Zeem Frostball in 17th, and then Freya in 18th here today. And then, of course, rounding out your retirements today, Wolf and Foxdale will be getting points as they did finish more than half the race. And then Taichi in 20th, followed by Molly, Snowy, Camille, and Czar. I mean, that was just one heck of a display from Klaus and Walkman at that end. I mean, and good sportsmanship too, I'd agree.
And I feel like we almost forgot that multiple free car battles throughout the grid here today. It's been really fun. Big winner today was Quincy making up 11 positions from the back to finish P13. So just an incredible drive there. Also a pretty underrated drive here from Zeem, who was able to capitalize on the retirements and the incidents in front to finish P17 in this one. That was from towards the back of the grid. So we basically everybody who was able to just keep it on track, hard racing, but keep it respectful. They were able to gain a lot of positions in this one. So yeah, but this was really fun. Yep. I am kind of an Oschersleben fan now.
Yeah, that was quite the finishing positions. As you can see, there's been a lot of movement in the championship today. Now, these are unofficial championship results, and they do not include drop rounds. We will have those for you next week, but as it stands right now, Walkman still in the lead with 67 points. However, I believe that will change given now that Plasma has gotten 2 26-point finishes. Now with 52 points, I believe that will make Plasma the leader going in after the drop rounds. Then we have RK here with 51 points, followed by Klaus with 47, managing an impressive display today and needed those points to catch up to Walkman today, and certainly deserved. And then rounding out your top 5, Inigo Lopez right now with 42 points, Fez in 6th, 7th Giando with 38 points, Zzors in 8th, Paschetti in 9th, and then rounding out your 10, Jack Mace here at 25 points of that one race that they participated in. I mean, given everything so far, I'm surprised how close this is. Looking at all the points here, I mean, the drop rounds will make things a little closer, but this championship is heating up leading into the finale rounds, round 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, I really feel like where we're going to see sort of the most fighting is in those, if not for the lead of the championship, for those podium places on our championship standings. I think we're gonna, we've sort of race in, race out. We've seen different drivers having a little bit of an edge over the others, and I mean, Klaus today was just like on fire. This is the quickest I've seen Klaus so far in this series. So amazing drive from them today, and was able to just get the edge out on Walkman with that great pit strategy, and then with that fantastic defending. So just a very incredible, well-deserved drive. And come next week, who knows? Maybe it's going to be Walkman who's going to be the faster one out of those three, or maybe it's going to be RK or Fez, or anyone really that's in that sort of like top 2 to 5 position. It's really in flux, and it's making for some really amazing moments.
Yeah, and I do want to point out too that Walkman so far, I believe all 3 of the races, he's finished in top 3. First, second, and third. No, not. I think second, and third, if I'm not mistaken. If I have that correct, because I remember Elias won the first race and has not been in the championship, I believe, since.
That's
but
correct.
given that, Walkman still has a decent chance, whereas Plasma, given that Plasma has only competed in 2 races, is at a very high risk of losing points if anything bad happens going forward within the concluding races. So we shall see if Plasma can keep it consistent. That actually might affect the championship coming into the end. So I'm excited. I'm super excited. I hope you are too, Kady.
Me too. I'm excited for VIR next time around. It's gonna be a good one. We're almost going to like whatever the polar opposite of this track is, where it's just really long and twisty and lots of high-speed corners around there. So I think we're going to see a lot more of this great action around there as well, and hopefully I'll be there in the mix as well. So exciting times. We've only got 3 more races, and those podium positions are going to continue to be absolutely crucial for all of our drivers here. So looking forward to it.
And with that, thank you everyone for joining us here today. I'm Paliku'i Grant in the broadcasting booth, along with Kady Timberfox. Thank you again for watching, and we hope to see you guys next time, next week, for VIR. Stay tuned, and we hope to see you then. Take care, everybody.